Hi folks, so today we're starting a brand new series, STARBAT of 2466, and don't worry, we'll go back to some of the old ones, and I'll tell you all about this new series and some other exciting news right after the intro. Hi folks, and welcome to Sharp Mountain Games. Here we talk about group role-playing games, solo role-playing games, and there are plenty of actual plays in the playlist. You can check out our print and PDF products at Amazon, Lulu, Drivethrurpg, and Roll20, and they're all linked below. Let's get started, and we're glad you're here. So welcome to the video, and just some quick exciting news. I won't take too long. Streamlined Superheroes is now available in print on Amazon. So I'm going to have the link down below. I think it's very reasonable, and it's a little bit expanded from the original edition. Now, if you've already bought the digital edition, you can just go over to Drive-Thru and download, the latest version. So don't feel like you have to buy it again. Or if you just want the digital version, it's available a little more reasonable on Drive-Thru, of course, because it's only a PDF there. But if you want the print edition, it's on Amazon. All right, so let's get into things today. So today we are playing Sharp Mountain Solo, which is also available on Drive-Thru, and that's pay what you want. So you can actually have it for free, or you can throw a buck or two my way. And let me show you the character card here. So we have the STARBAT, who is Wayne Robbins, and it's a 2d6 system, and you just try to roll this number or higher, and that's also your damage. And I'll tell you about this character in a few minutes. And let's see, I got to get my dice tower here so that it's available and maybe out of the way here. We'll put it right there. And you can see I have this little bat meeple that represents him because obviously he's inspired by superheroes of the past. So this is a superhero story and in the future. And Wayne Robbins' father was a noted surgeon who was killed because he wouldn't perform certain surgery, like enhancement surgeries with nanites and things like that. So that led Wayne Robbins, who took over the family business, to pursue against criminals and pursue an activity against criminals. And let's get started. So the first thing that's happening, he is out on his nightly patrol, and I've got to grab my. You can see I'm just using this as kind of my futuristic city. And then let's set up a little bit of a building here for us. He is out on his nightly patrol, and I think I'm going to have him vertical. Although I guess he is, you can really see the bat outline more if he's horizontal. But let's set all this up here just a little bit, because I wanted to really get into things tonight rather than just be flipping through battle mats and things like that. So he is out on his nightly patrol solo. He does not have a companion at this point, or a superhero sidekick or partner. And, maybe he will eventually. Who knows? And he's out on his patrol in 2466. So he hears an alarm, and there is a digital bank repository area here, and he hears the alarm and he thinks people are breaking in there, perhaps to steal codes or to steal credits. And let's see how he's going to approach this. So he, thinks to himself, criminals inside. So let's see, he has sneaking and thievery at 7. So let's see if he can sneak up and see what's going on. He also gets 2 advantage rolls per day, but we're not going to deal with that right now. So let's see how he does in terms of sneaking up. Oh, that's a 9. So that's well above his 7. He needs a 7 or better. And I think that's one of the good things about this system is the lower your rating, the better you are. So this is Sharp Mountain Solo. And rather than having to add a bonus every time, it does speed things up very, very quickly. You just kind of have to get it in your mind, okay, if I'm ranked lower, that's actually better. So he is able to sneak up, and here's what he sees. He sees a mob of these fellas in there. Now, at this point in 2466, Earth is very, very cosmopolitan, or galactopolitan, or whatever you want to say. So there are people from, they're used to seeing people from all over the galaxy, along with, your standard native humans here on Earth. So he was able to sneak up. So I'm going to say that that's going to allow him to have the initiative in this situation. Usually we'd have to roll, and I just do standard 1, 2, 3 is the good guys, 4, 5, 6 is the bad guys. So I think what he's going to do is he is going to swoop in on them, cape flying, and he is going to say, in that gravelly voice of his, "Give yourselves up now, or, save yourself the pain." All right, so let me make some notes for STARBAT here, and just to make a note of the hit points. Everybody gets 20 hit points. Why 20? It seems like a good number. And then let me put down the thugs here. And let's take care of that. So I am giving him the first punch here of the evening. And let's see what we got. That should be good enough. So we've got 5. Oh, that's a 10. Okay, so his close combat is 6. More than enough. Now that's 10 damage points that he does to them. So even though there's 3 of them, I treat them as a mob here. So he comes in and he's kicking like crazy, and he knocks into one of them and does quite a bit of damage. Now let's see if they can do the same for him. And their skills are an 8. So do they get higher than an 8? No, 6. So they miss him this round. So he comes in. Oh, look at that. 11 damage. He has done quite a bit. Got a couple of good kicks in there. Think about superheroes jumping in the middle and, just doing all kind of knocking heads here. Now, they do hit him. So they do get a hit in on him here. Oh, he takes a kick there. And let's see what he does here. 8 more points of damage. They are really in trouble. So what I'm going to say is that on a 1 through 5, they decide to run. 5, they decide to run. So they are going to, as best they can, make their way out here. And he's a little bit surprised because they are running much faster than he thought possible. So what we're going to do is an opposed fitness check here. But there's something different about these particular bad guys here. Now, he has gotten us a few good hits. So let's check our opposed roll here. 6, and he got an 11. So he did get better. But what I'm going to rule is that 2 of them get away and they move really, really fast. Like he's surprised at how fast they're running away. So he gets this guy, in a true bat fashion. He grabs him and he's going to tie him up. I guess he has STARBAT handcuffs here. And he says, well, what are you guys looking for? Who are you working for? I don't think you're on your own. What's with their speed? And the other fella here, he, no, just please don't hurt me. He says, well, then you need to talk. He says, no, I'm more afraid of him than of you. So the bat decides he has to take him in to the police. Now, he has a good relationship with the police, so we'll have to have another building, I guess, or we'll just maybe not worry too much about that. So he takes him in, and he remands him into custody, and then he leaves, but all of a sudden he appears in the window of the commissioner's office, Commissioner Robator. Oh, STARBAT, yeah, I didn't hear you come in, but, I never hear you come in, he says. So, I understand you brought somebody in down below. And STARBAT says, yes, I was able to. He said, but he wouldn't give me any information. I'm hoping you'll share some information with me if you get it out of him. And the commissioner says, oh, of course. Of course, he said, but there have been a string of these robberies, not just this fellow. There have been a string of these robberies. I'm hoping you can take a look at this. He said, the problem is again, many of them, they just get away. He said, I've also had several police officers injured, badly, like some of these people have been enhanced. I wonder if something's coming in from off-world, he says. Some kind of, some kind of illegal technology might be the possibility. And the commissioner says, yes, of course. He said, I think you're well suited to look into this. He said, right now, Millennium and Alpha Dawn, they're rather busy with some other work, some off-planet work. He said, so I really think you're the one to, the one who's going to be able to, oops, too much light there, huh? I was trying to adjust my light and I blinded us here. That's a little better. I really think you're the one to take care of these street level things. He said, I've even had some hope that maybe there'd be a league of you super people. Then you could, specialize and really complement one another. I said, maybe I usually work alone though. The commissioner said, well, that's fine. See what you can find out about this and what you can do. He said, well, I first have to take care of a few things. He said, but I'll be out later tonight to take care of it. So his name is Wayne Robbins in his civilian disguise. And, his family has had a lot of money over the years. And he had heard of a descendant of his who was also a bit of a vigilante, or not a descendant, excuse me, an ancestor. So he's kind of modeling a lot of his life after that ancestor there. So he goes home and he has a secret entrance, almost a cave that he goes into. And above it is a very futuristic mansion. So he goes home and his robot servant, AI Fred, comes out to him. Oh, you've been hurt. I can see that you've been hurt. Let me tend to you, Master Wayne. So he is going to attempt to see if he can do some healing on him. And I'm going to say that as a AI robot, he would definitely have access to really good healing. And I don't know that it's his best skill, but I'm going to say it's a 6. So he needs a 6 or better to do some healing on Wayne Robbins, the STARBAT. And does he get the 6 or better? Look at that. That's very nice. That is a 9. So he heals 9 points here. That gets our STARBAT back up to full hit points. See, right now the result of the dice is the effect. Some people have, or one person rather, I should say, Mage Hammer, has suggested, whose channel is very good, by the way, has suggested taking the higher of the 2 dice, and that's certainly another option. I might try playing it that way another time. Right now, I think I'm just going to keep it rules as written. So he is able to stitch him up, and I'm sure with futuristic technology, I don't think that's unreasonable that he'd be able to heal him up pretty well. And he says, have you hit the crime circuit lately? Checking out the any illegal activities going on. And AI Fred says, well, he says, I think that one thing I'm seeing is I'm hearing, something about this new nanotech, that there have been certain worlds where it's been developed, and it may be coming in. He said, there's so much smuggling and illegal stuff that comes in at the starport. He says, well, that gives me a place to start. He says, there's a bar down by there, Kelmax. He said, maybe if I go down there, maybe I can scare up some information. And AI Fred said, well, that's not, you've been doing this just a short while. He said, that's not your usual part of town. He said, no, it's a lot rougher than Wayne Robbins would go to. He said, but who knows? He said, I'll approach it carefully and we'll see what happens. So thank you, AI Fred. So AI Fred goes back there, and Wayne knows that he has to kind of go down to the dock side, and he's going to check out this bar. So he goes down to the dock area, and I don't really have a futuristic bar. Maybe I have to get the cyberpunk maps. I don't have those yet. So I want to have him make a sneaking thievery roll, and let's see how he does here. 5. No, he does not make that roll. So he is going to be surprised by here's a voice behind him. Someone has snuck up, and I don't know if you cannot tell. I kind of have a little cat meeple here that I have, but it's a woman in a cat costume, much like his, where they're trying to hide their identity. And she says, fancy meeting you here again, Starbat. And he turns, Stray Cat, what are you doing here? Are you involved with some stuff in here? And And she says, "Oh, no. I'm trying to go straight. What makes you think I'm doing bad things?" He says, he doesn't quite trust her on that. He says, "But you've stolen quite a bit in your own day." She said, "Oh, well, maybe a new leaf. She said, "Maybe I'm just down here, trying to see what's going on, and perhaps even trying to stop some things." He says, "I don't know about that." She says, "But maybe I can help you in here. I know this part of town better than you do, and these kind of people." Put a few tables in here, too, for the bar. He said, well, all right. He's reluctant about it. "But don't think it's going to go any easier if I catch you stealing anything or any time in the future." So they enter, and you have to think this is a pretty, it's down by the docks and the starport, I guess, more so, I should say. Not so much shipping docks. And it's really a seedy bar, but and there's very much a mixture of people from off-world and here, all different peoples. And he goes up to the bar, and she accompanies him. She's kind of scoping it out. And he asks the bartender. The bartender says, "Oh, what'll you have?" He said, I'm not here to drink. I'm on duty." The bartender says, "Well, what'll you have? Maybe I can still help you." And he says, "All right." So he puts some money down, and he buys 2 drinks, although he has no intention of drinking either of them. He says, "Yeah, I'm looking for information." Now, people don't really look oddly at him or her because, they're people from other planets. Nobody quite knows. They can get away with dressing a little bit weird here. And the bartender says, "What sort of information?" He says, I hear things might be coming in from out planet, things that are enhancing people." Now, the bartender, I think, he wouldn't want to give up this information. Let's make a personality roll here and see if we can get anything out of him. So if I check my oracle here, let's see. I don't think he's going to be hostile, but I think he's going to be, maybe we'll say he's only at a 2 for, or indifferent. He definitely wouldn't want to say anything. So I'll say 3 is where he's at. So let's see if STARBAT can make a personality roll. 4, no. Bartender he said, I don't want any trouble in here. He said, I deal with all types of people. And the cat says, maybe I have a source over here, she tells them quietly. And she says, "Just wait here." And she goes over and she talks with somebody she knows, about what might be going on here. And STARBAT can hear, No, I don't know anything. He's very frightened by this. And he makes a run for it. He runs out of the bar. Now, let's see. I don't know if are they going to pursue him? Because that would be kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? That would be really kind of suspicious. I think STARBAT would go after him. I think he knows that something's wrong here. The stray cat might play it a little bit cooler, and she'll just toss the bartender some money and kind of saunter after them. So let's see if STARBAT can catch up with him. So that'll be an opposed fitness roll. STARBAT's fitness is a 7, so he'd need a 7 or better. Okay, looks like they both failed. So I think that would mean that, nothing happens. That he's chasing him down through the streets. Now, these are more, like I said, these are supposed to be more futuristic streets. But I only had a medieval bar map here just to have something. Let's see if he catches him. Let's see. We got 2 successes and a tie. So I would say that's still the same. This one might be the decider here. Yes, he catches him. Because this fella does not seem to be very enhanced. And he says, what are you so afraid of? He grabs. He says, "I won't hurt you, but I need to know." He said, "There's stuff coming in town. Police are getting hurt. Things are getting stolen." I said, well, that's no dealing of mine. I can't tell you. He says, "You will tell me." He said, "Well, I haven't done anything illegal." So I think STARBAT's going to make a personality roll to try to intimidate him. Look at that, 8, which is above his personality of 6. So he does. He says, you won't like it if you don't tell me. And Stray Cat comes, and she's there too, and she's kind of, she has these climbing claws, so she's sort of, gently swirling them back and forth, trying to be threatening as well. He says, no, don't hurt me. I didn't do anything. He says, yeah, I haven't been perfect in the past. I know that. He said, it's somebody named Breaker, bringing stuff in from out of the city. And the bat lets him go. He says, Breaker, oh, well, that's something. And he lets this guy go to make a run for it. But as they're out here, and they're kind of in the alleyway, let me just go back to the other map here and put them in an alleyway here. This one's a little lo-fi tonight. They hear like this humming sound. And approaching them are these drones. And I'm just going to use, do I have something? This will represent the drones. This will be better. This flying saucer thing. Now, they're not huge, but there's several of these rounded drones, and they have lights on them like a laser. And let's see who's going to go first. A 1. So they're going to go first. So they see these drones coming at them. And I got to make a little note about HP here for the drones and for Stray Cat. Now, he does not know Stray Cat's... well, he's taken her in before, so he may know her real name, which is Kylie Moon. All right, so our guys are going first. So the bat, let's see. This thing is coming at him. What does he have? He has some STARBAT type throwing stars. I think he's going to use that. And then the cat is going to... She has a cat whip, so she might try to use that. Let's see how they do. Do they hit? Oh, she definitely hits. He misses. So she hits this thing, and now there's several of them. I'm treating them just sort of like as a mob here. So she does quite a bit of damage with that whip of hers. But now I have to see if they get hit. And I'll just use the same dice here now. 7 or better to hit them. So the bat is not taking a hit, but one of the lasers comes out and hits our Stray Cat for 8 points of damage. All right, next round. I'm going to say rather than using his throwing star things, his STARBAT throwing stars, he's going to come in and try and do a kick at it. She's still going to use that whip of hers. So he needs a 6 or better. She needs a 7 or better. Oh, he's having a terrible time. But she hits it for 9 points there. Hits some of the drones. Like I said, I'm treating them as a mob rather than as a individual things because it's too crazy otherwise. And do they get hit? Let's see. 7. I know 7 is good enough to hit. In fact, that was 7 damage, I think. Sorry, I moved the dice. 7 damage for him. Oh, and 11 damage for her. And he says, oh, that somebody must have been following that guy or keeping track on him. Probably that Breaker. Now let's see how they do. Finally, he gets a good hit, and that is enough to bring down the last drone. And he says to the Stray Cat here, saying, "Oh, these people are rough. They definitely don't want people tracking them and knowing what's going on." She said, "What do you know about this Breaker?" And she says, "Well, he was a smaller time thug, but if he's been enhanced or he's somehow trying to get these enhancements, and there must be other money involved here. There must be somebody bigger, And he says, "Well, maybe." Now I'm trying to see if he has any. He has detective. Let's see if he can find anything out by looking at this thing. His detective is 8. That's his roll is 8. His detective skill is 5. That's his best thing. He says, "Well, this is definitely Earth technology, these drones. He said, we may be able to track down, he says, I can, he pulls out some important modules. He says, I can take some of these back and we might be able to track down the factory where they were made or where they were sold. We might be able to get some information from that. And she says, oh, we. And he says, well, you're in this too deep right now. I don't know if I trust you at all. He says, you're going to stick with me and work with me for a little bit. And he said, but you better not double cross me. You better not sell me out to your criminal friends. She said, I told you, I'm turning over a new leaf. He says, maybe. He's mistrustful. He says, well, I'm going to go and see what I can do with this. He says, we're going to meet tomorrow night again, 10 p.m. And he gives a location. There's an alleyway that's maybe off a prominent promenade here in the futuristic city and Sharp Mountain City of 2499. So he's gotten some information. He has maybe a next step where they're going to look into where this technology for the drones was coming from in hopes that it will lead them to Breaker or who's ever financing Breaker. But we'll have to do that another session. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Take care.